The sky above Earth turned dark with ships. Captain Park Yuna stood at the window of Luna Command, watching the massive fleet emerge from hyperspace. 400 warships appeared one after another, blocking out the stars like a slow-moving storm. Each ship was larger than anything humanity had ever built. The smallest of them could destroy a city in seconds. Yuna had seen battle before. She had fought pirates near Saturn. She had survived the Titan Rebellion when she was just a young pilot. But she had never seen anything like this. No human had. The year was 2347. Humanity had only learned to travel between stars 50 years ago. They had built 3 small colonies on distant worlds. They thought they were alone in the universe for a long time. Then they discovered the truth. The galaxy was full of life. Thousands of species lived among the stars, and all of them answered to one power: the galactic hegemony. For 50,000 years, the hegemony had ruled everything. They called themselves peacekeepers. They said they brought order to chaos. But Yuna knew what they really were. They were conquerors who had learned to smile while they put chains on other species. The main screen in Luna Command flickered to life. Every screen on Earth did the same. Every phone, every computer, every display showed the same image. An alien face appeared. It had gray skin, 4 eyes, and a mouthful of small, sharp teeth. This was Ambassador Vraok, the voice of the hegemony. "People of Earth," the alien said. His voice was calm, almost bored. "The galactic hegemony has watched your species for many years. We have seen your wars. We have seen your weapons. We have seen how quickly you grow and spread. You are dangerous. You are unstable. You are a threat to galactic peace." Yuna felt her hands become fists at her sides. "Therefore," Vrelok continued, "the hegemony offers you a choice. You have 72 hours to surrender. You will dismantle your military. You will accept integration into the hegemony as a servant species. Your people will serve the greater civilizations. This is mercy. The alternative is complete destruction." The screen went dark. For a moment, no one in Luna Command moved. Then chaos erupted. Officers shouted into communicators. Alarms began to ring. Someone was crying. Admiral Ko Taiho walked through the madness like a stone in a river. He was 60 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too much. He stopped beside Yuna. "What do you think, Captain?" he asked quietly. Yuna kept her eyes on the alien fleet outside the window. "I think they expect us to kneel. Most species do when the hegemony comes. It's easier. Is that what you want us to do, Admiral?" Taiho was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "I want you to prepare the Defiance. Whatever happens in the next 3 days, I want our best ship ready." Yuna nodded and left the command center. The Defiance was Earth's flagship. It was the largest and most powerful ship humanity had ever built. Yuna had commanded it for 3 years. She knew every corner of its hull, every member of its crew. 2,400 people called the Defiance home. They trusted her with their lives. When she arrived on the bridge, her first officer was waiting. Lieutenant Commander Beek Jisu was a tall man with a serious face. He rarely smiled, but Yuna knew his heart was good. They had served together for 5 years. "Captain," he said, "the crew is scared. They're asking questions I cannot answer." "What questions?" "Are we going to fight? Can we win? Will we see our families again?" Yuna sat in her command chair. She looked at the faces around her. Young officers, engineers, pilots. Some of them were barely 20 years old. They had joined the fleet to explore the stars, not to die in a hopeless war. "Tell them the truth," Yuna said. "We don't know what will happen. But whatever comes, we will face it together." Jizoo nodded and went to speak with the crew. Yuna was alone with her thoughts. She pulled out a small photograph from her pocket. It showed a young man with bright eyes and a wide smile. Her younger brother, Park Junho. He had been a cargo pilot on a civilian ship. 5 years ago, pirates had attacked his convoy. There were no survivors. Yuna had joined the military because of him. She had trained harder than anyone. She had risen through the ranks faster than anyone. She had promised herself that she would protect others the way she could not protect them. Now the greatest threat in the history of humanity had arrived. And she was supposed to just surrender? Her communicator beeped. It was Admiral Taiho. The United Council is meeting now, he said. They're arguing about what to do. Half of them want to surrender. They say resistance is suicide. And the other half? They're too scared to speak. Yuna, I need you to understand something. If we fight, we will probably lose. Our 60 ships against their 400. It's not a battle. It's execution. Yuna looked at the photograph of her brother. My grandmother survived the war when she was young. She survived famine. She survived things that should have killed her. She told me once that Koreans have a word. It means something like endurance through suffering. She said, it's what makes us strong. What word? Han. It's the pain we carry. But it's also what pushes us forward. There was silence on the line. Then Taiho said, whatever you're playing, be careful. The hegemony is watching everything. Yuna ended the call. She looked out at the stars, at the massive fleet that waited to destroy everything she loved. They don't know us at all, she whispered. Outside, the clock continued to count down. 72 hours until Earth's deadline. 72 hours until humanity had to make a choice. Surrender or fight. Live on their knees or die on their feet. Captain Park Yuna already knew her answer. 36 hours had passed since the ultimatum. Earth was falling apart. The United Council had been arguing without sleep. Some leaders begged for surrender. They showed numbers on screens. 60 ships against 400. 10 billion humans against a civilization that ruled 1 million worlds. The math was simple. Resistance was death. Other leaders shouted back. They spoke of pride, of freedom, of what it meant to be human. But their voices grew weaker as the hours passed. Fear was winning. Captain Park Yuna watched the debates from the bridge of the Defiance. Her crew moved quietly around her, preparing the ship for whatever would come. No one spoke about the future. No one wanted to say what they were all thinking. Lieutenant Commander Baek Jisoo approached her chair. Captain, Admiral Taiho is on the line. Private channel. Yuna took the call in her ready room. The Admiral's face appeared on screen. He looked like he had aged 10 years in 2 days. The council is about to vote, Taiho said. It's going to be close, but I think surrender will win. The fear is too strong. Then we lose without fighting. Some would say that's wisdom. Living to fight another day. Yuna shook her head. There won't be another day. The hegemony doesn't free servant species. Once we surrender, we belong to them forever. Our children will be born into chains. Taiho sighed. I know, but what can we do? We cannot win this war. Maybe not. But we can make them remember us. We can show the galaxy what humans are made of. What do you want, Yuna? Permission to address the hegemony fleet, directly, on an open channel. The Admiral was quiet. An open channel meant the entire galaxy would hear. Every species, every world, every being with a receiver would witness whatever she said. That's dangerous, Taiho said. If you anger them further, they might attack before the deadline. They're going to attack anyway. We both know that. At least this way, our voices will be heard. Taiho closed his eyes. When he opened them, there was something new in them. something that looked like hope. "Do it," he said. "Whatever you're planning, make it count." The channel closed. Yuna stood still for a moment, gathering her thoughts. Then she walked back to the bridge. "Ensign Cha," she said. A young woman at the communications station turned around. Cha Minji was only 24, with a round face and bright eyes. She had been on the Defiance for just 1 year, but she was one of the best communications officers Yuna had ever seen. "Yes, Captain?" "Open a channel to the Hegemony flagship. Broadcast it on all frequencies. I want everyone to hear this." Minji's fingers trembled slightly as she worked. "Channel open, Captain. You'll live in 10 seconds. Yuna straightened her uniform. She thought of her grandmother. She thought of her brother. She thought of every human who had ever suffered and survived. "You're live," Minji said. Yuna looked directly at the camera. Across the galaxy, trillions of beings saw a small human woman standing on the bridge of a tiny ship, facing an empire that had ruled for 50,000 years. "Ambassador Vrolok," she began. "I am Captain Park Yuna of the Earthship Defiance. I speak for myself, but I believe I speak for my people as well. You have given us an ultimatum. Surrender or die. You expect us to choose survival, because that is what every species chooses. But I need you to understand something about humans." She paused. In the silence, the galaxy listened. "We are not a peaceful species. We have fought wars against each other for thousands of years. We have done terrible things. We have hurt each other in ways that I am ashamed to describe. But we have also done something else. We have survived. Again and again, when everything seemed lost, we found a way to continue." Yuna thought of her grandmother's stories. The hunger, the cold, the bodies in the streets. My grandmother lived through a war when she was a child. Her country was destroyed. Her family starved. She watched her friends die. And yet she survived. She rebuilt. She had children, and they had children. And one of them is standing here today, talking to you. Her voice grew stronger. That is what humans do. We fall down. We get hurt. We lose people we love. And then we get back up. Because we don't know how to quit. It's not in our nature. She stepped closer to the camera. You think your numbers will scare us. 400 ships. 1,000,000 worlds. 50,000 years of power. But let me tell you what I see when I look at your fleet. I see an empire that has never been challenged. I see species that have forgotten what it means to fight for something. I see a civilization that is so used to winning that it has forgotten how to truly struggle. Yuna's eyes were hard now, cold. Humans have not forgotten. We carry our struggles with us. Every scar, every loss, every moment of pain. We remember, and we use that memory to become stronger. She took a breath. So here is my reply to your ultimatum. We do not surrender. We will not kneel. You can burn our cities. You can destroy our ships. You can kill every last one of us. But you will never break what makes us human. Our spirit. Our will. Our refusal to accept defeat. Yuna lifted her chin. Come and try, Ambassador. Come and see what humans are made of. We will be waiting. She made a cutting motion with her hand. Minji ended the broadcast. The bridge was silent. Every officer stared at their captain with wide eyes. Then, slowly, Jesu began to clap. One by one, the others joined him. Soon the entire bridge was filled with applause. Minji looked up from her station. Her eyes were wet with tears. Captain, you need to see this. She put it on the main screen. Earth. Millions of people were pouring into the streets. They were cheering, crying, holding signs. Yuna's words had spread across the planet in seconds. And it wasn't just Earth. Reports came in from the colonies, from stations, From ships. Everywhere, humans were responding to her call. Then Minji's face changed. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange." Encrypted transmissions from across the galaxy. Thousands of them. From who? From other species. They're all saying the same thing. Minji looked up in wonder. They're saying they're watching. Outside, the hegemony fleet began to move. Ambassador Vrolok's reply came through. "Then you have chosen extinction." Yuna watched the enemy ships advance. She was not afraid. The galaxy was finally paying attention. The hegemony fleet moved toward Earth like a slow wave of death. 400 warships, each one carrying enough firepower to destroy a moon. They expected an easy victory. They expected the humans to scatter and beg. They did not expect Captain Park Yuna. The Mars defensive line was humanity's first stand. It was a ring of orbital platforms and defensive stations built around the red planet. 60 Earth ships waited there, hiding among the asteroids and small moons. It was not much, but it was all they had. Yuna stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the enemy approach on her tactical display. Red dots filled the screen. So many red dots. For every human ship, there were almost 7 enemy vessels. "All ships, this is Captain Park," she said into the fleet channel. "I won't lie to you. We cannot win a straight fight. So we won't fight straight. We will hit them and run. We will use every rock, every moon, every shadow to our advantage. Make every shot count. Make them bleed for every inch." The first hegemony squadron entered the asteroid field. 20 ships, moving in perfect formation. They scanned for targets, expecting the humans to be hiding like scared animals. Yuna smiled. Now, the asteroids exploded. Humanity had spent the last 36 hours planting bombs in the rocks. Thousands of charges, hidden and waiting. When they went off, the asteroids became weapons. Huge chunks of stone flew into the hegemony ships, smashing through shields and hulls. 4 enemy ships died in the first 10 seconds. The hegemony commander, Admiral Kethra, watched in shock from his flagship. "What is this?" "They're using rocks." "Sir," his officer said, "the humans appear to be using the environment as a weapon. This is unusual." "It's cowardly," Kethra snarled. "Order all ships to maximum alert. Find them and destroy them." But finding the human ships was not easy. Yuna had spread her fleet across the entire defensive zone. Small groups of 3 or 4 ships would strike, fire a few shots, then disappear behind a moon or into an asteroid cluster. By the time the hegemony forces reached their position, they were gone. The Battle of Phobos was the turning point. Yuna led a squadron of 10 ships toward the small Martian moon. A hegemony group of 30 vessels followed, eager to crush the annoying humans once and for all. "They're taking the bait," Jisoo said from his station. "Good. Signal Captain Shin. Tell him to begin." Captain Shin Do-hyun was an old man, 50 years in the fleet. He had been Yuna's flight instructor when she was just a young pilot. He had taught her everything she knew about combat. Now he commanded the ESS Resolve, a heavy cruiser that had seen better days. His ship was hiding on the dark side of Phobos, along with 4 others. They had spent hours drilling into the moon's surface, planting enough explosives to crack a small planet. The hegemony ships flew toward Phobos, chasing Yuna's squadron. They did not see the danger until it was too late. Now, Yuna ordered. The explosives detonated. A massive section of Phobos broke apart. Millions of tons of rock and ice flew outward, directly into the path of the hegemony fleet. Ships tried to turn. Ships tried to run. But there was nowhere to go. 12 hegemony vessels were destroyed in an instant. 8 more were badly damaged. The rest scattered in panic. Across the galaxy, billions watched the broadcast. The mighty hegemony, rulers of 1,000,000 worlds, had just been beaten by a handful of humans using rocks and bombs. Admiral Kethra's face turned pale with rage. "These vermin," he hissed. "These insects. They fight like animals." But somewhere in his voice, there was something else. Something he had not felt in centuries. Fear. The victory at Phobos came with a price. The hegemony counterattack was brutal. 18 Earth ships were destroyed, including the Resolve. Yuna heard Captain Shin's last transmission through static and fire. "Give them hell, Yuna. Make me proud." Then silence. Yuna closed her eyes for just a moment. She remembered the old man's smile, his patience, the way he never gave up on her, even when she made mistakes. Now he was gone, but there was no time to grieve. Not yet. "Captain," Minji called out. "Something strange is happening. A ship is breaking formation from the hegemony fleet. It's broadcasting a surrender signal?" Yuna frowned. "Put it on screen." A small freighter appeared. It was clearly not a warship. Its hull was painted with symbols Yuna did not recognize. A face appeared on the communication screen. An alien, but different from the hegemony species. This one had soft blue skin and large, gentle eyes. "I am Quilra of the Rilvan people," the alien said. Her voice was old and tired. "For 3,000 years, my species has served the hegemony. We were conquered long ago. We forgot what freedom felt like." She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice was stronger. "Your captain's speech reminded me. It reminded my people. We are not warriors. We cannot fight. But we can choose. We choose to stand with Earth. We choose to be free." The hegemony response was immediate. Admiral Kethra ordered the Rilvan ship destroyed. His weapons lit up the darkness of space. But everyone was watching. Trillions of beings across the galaxy saw the hegemony murder a defenseless civilian ship for the crime of wanting freedom. They saw the mighty rulers reveal their true nature. Tyrants, killers, monsters. The Rilvan ship exploded. Quilra and her crew died instantly. But their sacrifice changed everything. Yuna watched the explosion with hard eyes. Around her, her crew was silent. Jizu had his hands balled into fists. Minji was crying quietly at her station. "Captain," Minji said through her tears. "The encrypted messages from other species. They've increased by 1,000%. They're not just watching anymore. They're asking questions." "What kind of questions?" Minji looked up. Despite her tears, there was hope in her eyes. "They're asking how they can help." Yuna looked at the tactical display. Earth's fleet was smaller now, but something was changing. The galaxy was waking up. Captain Shin had not died for nothing. Neither had Quilra and her people. The war was just beginning. 1 week had passed since the Battle of Phobos. The hegemony fleet now floated in Earth's orbit, close enough to touch, but they had not attacked. Something strange was happening across the galaxy. Captain Park Yuna stood in the war room aboard the Defiance, surrounded by holographic displays showing reports from every corner of known space. What she saw made her heart beat faster. 17 species had declared neutrality. They refused to support the hegemony's war against Earth. This had never happened before. Not in 50,000 years. 3 species had gone even further. Small ships, carrying supplies and medicine, had slipped through hegemony space to reach Earth. They came in secret, risking everything to help the humans. And on the hegemony homeworlds, something impossible was occurring. Protests. Beings gathering in public spaces, holding signs with Captain Park's words. They chanted for peace. They demanded change. "The Council of Elders is fracturing," Admiral Taiho reported through the communication screen. Some of them want to negotiate. They say the cost of conquering Earth is becoming too high. What kind of cost? Yuna asked. Political cost. The galaxy is watching everything. Every time the hegemony fires a weapon, 1 million beings change their minds about who the real enemy is. Yuna understood. She had not planned this. She had only wanted to make a stand, to show that humans would not surrender quietly. But her words had done something more. They had reminded the galaxy that resistance was possible. Lieutenant Commander Big Jisoo entered the war room. His face was grim. Captain, we have a problem. The hegemony is moving. They're targeting Sol Orbital. Sol Orbital was Earth's largest space station. It held over 200,000 civilians, including families, children, and elderly people who could not be evacuated in time. It was not a military target. It was a message. How long? Yuna asked. 6 hours. They're sending 50 ships. Yuna looked at her fleet status. She had 32 ships left. Most were damaged. Many were running low on ammunition. Against 50 fresh hegemony warships, they had almost no chance. We go anyway, she said. Jisoo nodded. He had expected this answer. I'll prepare the fleet. Jisoo. Yuna caught his arm. Make sure the broadcast drones are active. Whatever happens, the galaxy needs to see it. 4 hours later, the human fleet arrived at Sol Orbital. The station hung in space like a fragile glass ornament, filled with lights and life. Around it, hegemony warships were taking position, preparing for the attack. Yuna's fleet spread out in a defensive formation. 32 ships against 50. Everyone knew the mathematics. Everyone came anyway. All ships, Yuna broadcast. Our mission is to protect those civilians. We hold the line as long as possible. Evacuation ships are on their way, but they need time. We're going to give them that time. The battle began. It was chaos. Hegemony ships fired waves of energy weapons that lit up space like lightning. Human ships dodged and returned fire, trying to protect the station while staying alive. Explosions bloomed in the darkness. Ships died on both sides. Yuna commanded from the heart of the fighting. She pushed her crew to their limits, making impossible maneuvers, finding gaps in the enemy formation that should not exist. The Defiance danced through the battle like a leaf in a storm. But it was not enough. One by one, human ships fell. The hegemony pushed closer to the station. Evacuation ships were still 20 minutes away. They would not make it in time. Captain, Jisoo said quietly, the enemy flagship is moving into position. If it fires on the station, thousands will die. Yuna saw it on her display. A massive hegemony dreadnought, 3 times the size of the Defiance, was moving towards Sol Orbital. Its weapons were charging. There was no ship in position to stop it. Except one. The East's Courage. A small destroyer, barely functional after previous battles. Its captain was already dead. Its crew numbered only 40 survivors. Jisoo was looking at the same display. His face was calm. I can fly it, he said. Yuna's heart stopped. No, it's the only way. The Courage has enough mass to cripple that dreadnought if it hits the engine section. Collision course. It's simple physics. Jisoo, I'm ordering you to stay. He smiled. It was the first time she had seen him smile in weeks. With respect, Captain, I'm choosing to ignore that order. Someone has to do this. And you need to survive. The fleet needs you. Earth needs you. Before she could respond, he was gone. Running to the shuttle bay, Yuna wanted to chase him. She wanted to drag him back and lock him in a cell. But she couldn't move. Because she knew he was right. She watched on the display as a shuttle left the Defiance. Minutes later, it docked with the drifting Courage. The small destroyer's engines flickered to life. "Jisoo," she said through the communication channel. "Please." His voice came back, steady and warm. "It was an honor serving with you, Captain. Tell the others. Tell them it was worth it." The Courage accelerated. It flew directly at the Hegemony dreadnought. Enemy weapons fired, hitting the small ship again and again. But it kept coming. The impact was tremendous. The Courage struck the dreadnought's engine section at full speed. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from Earth. Across the galaxy, trillions watched a human give his life to save 200,000 strangers. Yuna did not cry. Not then. She gave orders. She commanded her fleet. She saved the station. The evacuation ships arrived. The remaining Hegemony vessels retreated. Only later, alone in her quarters, did she allow herself to break. She cried for Jisoo, for Captain Shin, for her brother, for all the good people who had died because they believed in something greater than themselves. A soft knock came at her door. Ensign Minji entered without waiting for permission. She sat down beside Yuna and said nothing. She just stayed there, a quiet presence in the darkness. "They're not just watching anymore," Minji finally said. "The Vesa Collective just announced they're leaving the Hegemony. 200 worlds. They said they joined for peace, and what they've seen is not peace." Yuna wiped her eyes. Then his death meant something. "They all did, Captain. Every single one." Outside, the stars continued to shine. And somewhere in the galaxy, the fire of rebellion was spreading. 2 weeks had passed since the Hegemony's ultimatum. 2 weeks of blood and fire and sacrifice. Now it would end, one way or another. Captain Park Yuna looked at her fleet. 14 ships. That was all that remained of Earth's navy. 14 battered vessels against 380 Hegemony warships. The mathematics had never been good. Now they were impossible. The Hegemony had received orders from the Council of Elders. End this quickly, whatever the cost. Ambassador Vrelok had been commanded to destroy Earth and silence the rebellion before it spread further. He had no choice but to obey. Yuna gathered her crew on the bridge of the Defiance. They looked tired. They looked scared. But they also looked proud. "I won't make any promises," Yuna told them. "I can't tell you we'll win. I can't tell you we'll survive. But I can tell you this. Whatever happens today, the galaxy will remember. They will remember that when the universe told us to kneel, we stood instead. They will remember that humans don't surrender. And that memory will outlast any of us." The crew straightened their backs. Some of them were crying. All of them were ready. All ships moved to defensive position. Protect Earth. Protect our home. The 14 human ships formed a line between the planet and the approaching enemy fleet. It was a thin line. A fragile line. But it held. The Hegemony fleet advanced. Ambassador Vrelok watched from his flagship, his 4 eyes fixed on the tiny human ships. They were so small, so weak, so utterly insignificant. And yet they refused to run. "Begin the attack," Vrelok ordered. "End this foolishness." The first weapons fired. Space lit up with energy beams and explosions. Human ships twisted and dodged, returning fire where they could. The Defiance led the formation, absorbing blows that would have destroyed smaller vessels. It was hopeless. Everyone knew it was hopeless. And then the sky changed. Hyperspace signatures. Hundreds of them. Ships emerging from faster-than-light travel all around Earth. Yuna's heart stopped. Reinforcements for the Hegemony? More enemies to face? But the ships were not Hegemony. The Vesa Collective had arrived. 200 warships from the species that had ruled 200 worlds. They traveled in secret, risking everything, to stand with humanity. They were not alone. Rilvan freighters, dozens of them, armed with whatever weapons they could find. They came to avenge Quilra and the others who had died for freedom. Ships from 40 other species. Some were large. Some were small. Some were military vessels. Some were converted civilian craft. They came from across the galaxy, drawn by a single broadcast, a single voice, a single message. Humans do not surrender. The leader of the Vesa fleet broadcast on all channels. One woman stood against tyranny. We will not let her stand alone. Yuna felt tears on her cheeks. Not sad tears. Not this time. The combined fleet numbered over 400 ships. For the first time, the hegemony was not facing a weak enemy. They were facing a revolution. Ambassador Vryluk stared at his display in disbelief. This was not possible. In 50,000 years, no one had united against the hegemony. No one had dared. Until now. All ships, hold fire, Vryluk ordered. His voice was quiet, defeated. The hegemony fleet stopped. The battle paused. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Vryluk sent a message to the Defiance. Captain Park, I request a personal meeting. Yuna went alone. She took a shuttle to the hegemony flagship and walked through corridors filled with aliens, who stared at her like she was a ghost. She was escorted to Ambassador Vryluk's chamber. The ancient alien stood by a window, looking out at the fleet that had gathered to oppose him. His shoulders were bent with the weight of centuries. You have destroyed 50,000 years of order, he said without turning around. Yuna stood straight. No, you did that when you forgot why you built it. Vryluk finally turned to face her. His 4 eyes were tired. So tired. The hegemony was meant to bring peace, to end the chaos of a galaxy at war with itself. We believed we were doing right. Maybe you were once. But power without challenge becomes tyranny. Order without freedom becomes a prison. You stop listening. You stop seeing other species as equals. And so you became the thing you were supposed to prevent. The ambassador was silent for a long time. What would you have us do now? He asked. Yuna met his gaze. Learn, change, or be left behind. The galaxy doesn't need rulers anymore. It needs partners. The negotiations lasted 3 days. In the end, the hegemony agreed to a ceasefire. They agreed to release all servant species. They agreed to reform the Council of Elders to include representatives from all civilizations, not just the powerful ones. Earth was granted a seat on the new Galactic Council, the first young species to be accepted as an equal in 50,000 years. When they offered to promote Yuna to admiral, she refused. I'm a ship captain, she said. That's where I belong. She returned to the Defiance. Her crew welcomed her with cheers and tears. Ensign Cha Minji, now promoted to lieutenant, was waiting on the bridge. The Vesa ambassador wants to know what you're going to do next, Minji said. Yuna looked out at the stars. So many stars. So many worlds. So much to see. We explore, she said. We meet new species. We build friendships instead of empires. That's what humans do best. 3 years later, a memorial garden was built on Earth. Stone monuments stood in rows, each one bearing a name. Beek Jisu, Shindoyan, Park Junho, Quilra of the Rilvan. Thousands of others who had given their lives for freedom. Yuna visited on a quiet morning. She walked among the stones, touching each name, remembering each face. Lieutenant Minji found her there. The Rilvan ambassador says you changed everything, Minji said. Yuna shook her head. She gestured to the memorial stones. No, they did. I just refused to let their sacrifice mean nothing. She walked back to her shuttle. The Defiance waited in orbit. ready for another journey. There was a galaxy to explore and a future her people had died to build. As she left Earth's atmosphere, Yuna looked back at the blue planet one last time. She thought of her grandmother's stories. She thought of her brother's smile. She thought of Jesu's last words. It was worth it. The galaxy had ordered Earth to surrender. A human woman answered with the only word her species had ever truly known: no. And nothing was ever the same again.